Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always happens, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what in the world has happened here? What is this? What is this? What has my camera done? Goodness gracious. We're going to have to figure something out about this. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome to Coffee and Crypto, where my camera is just going to give me all kinds of trouble. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always happens, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live, guys. I do apologize. I'm not really sure what was going on there with my camera. Everything was fine right before I went live, and then something glitched out. So welcome to Coffee and Crypto Live, where sometimes we have technical difficulties, but luckily I was able to fix it very, very quickly. So we're here, and today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin having a major correction over the next couple of days, down to as low as $25,236 and change. As you guys know, Bitcoin's been trading sideways up here in this region between $25,236 and $28,545 for quite some time. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin had a major rally following the CPI data drop that occurred about 2 weeks ago on about March the 12th, when we saw CPI come in at 0.4% to the downside. We saw CPI drop by 0.4%. That led to a precipitous rally that pushed Bitcoin all the way to nearly $29,000. And actually, it did hit $29,000 on some charts. But now that we are about halfway through the CPI cycle, as I'm going to probably be talking about in a future video, Bitcoin at this point is very likely to have quite a lot of sideways accumulation happening, if not even a larger correction over the next couple of days. So we're going to be talking about what that correction looks like and what you can expect to see from Bitcoin moving into the rest of this week and on into next week. You guys will have to forgive me if I'm a little bit lower energy today than I was. I got very sick yesterday, and I have not been able to really eat anything or hold a whole lot of anything down since then. So my body's running on fumes right now because I can't really eat a whole lot. So if I'm a little bit lower energy than I normally am, then I hope you will forgive me. Thank you guys for being patient during the intro. Not sure what happened there. I was like, yeah, this is bad enough. I'm going to have to just shut the stream down for a second and fix it. Either way, we are here now. Let's go ahead and read chat. Alex Nybo is here, said good morning. Good morning to you as well, Alex Nybo. We've got Wisely T here, said hello. No copy paste today. Oh, Wisely, come on, man. You got to get with the program. No, I'm kidding. Josh Denham here in chat said good morning. Good morning to you. Oh my said good morning fam. Hashtag FinSov. Love to see it. Micah said good morning. Oh my said win FinSov, then win Lambo. If having a Lambo is your ultimate dream and you think it's your ultimate purpose in life, then I suppose financial sovereignty will help you to get there. But the point of financial sovereignty is not so that you can have a fancier car and show off to your friends. The point of financial sovereignty is so that finances don't have to be the center of your life. I want you to have such mastery and control and sovereignty over your finances that they are orbiting around as one little planet around the solar system of your life, and whatever is there in the center, whether it be your family, whether it be your relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, whether it be a ministry that you have, whatever is the purpose of your life, if you will, my goal is to help you make finances not be something that has to be in the center. Now, if you want your finances to be in the center, then it is a free country, it is a free world, and you have the terrible freedom to go and pursue making money at all costs with no care in the world about anything else. But if you want to pursue something else, like your family or the Lord or ministry or whatever it is, I want finances to be able to be something that support you in that rather than you being a slave to them. That is my goal for you guys. Thomas Post in chat said, morning fam, hashtag FinSolve. Hashtag FinSolve. There you go. Good morning. Maybe we'll FinSolve some problems. Mario De Leon was in chat, is in chat right now, said, good morning, Jebb. Good to see you, my friend. We saw you in office hours last night. By the way, guys, if you are a member of Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, you have access to office hours, and I'm going to be giving a few more updates on that over the next coming weeks. Sean O'Brien said, now the hour is gone forward. I catch you at 3 p.m. UK time again when picking kids up. Howdy. Hello to you and your children. Crypto Mini Bike in chat said, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Grand Roofing Incorporated in chat said, good morning, everyone. When People's in chat as well. Let's see. Own the Lambo. Don't let your Lambo own you. Lol. That's kind of my point. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There was a certain billionaire that you guys are probably, I'm not sure if you'd be fans of Grant Cardone or not. I used to follow him quite a bit, and he talked about how he was only going to buy a fancy car if he could buy the car with 2 weeks of his income. So when he bought like a $400,000 Rolls, he's like, yeah, I made that in 2 weeks. So that was his strategy in cash. He'd buy it in cash. So that's just kind of something to think about. Financial sovereignty is not having to go to work when my daughter is sick like today. I'm home with her and not worried about the bills. Hashtag FinSov. Love to see it, Grand Roofing Incorporated. That is a great testimony, my friend. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And, that's kind of something that we're able to live out right now as well. We've got a baby on the way, and there's been, tons of doctor's appointments and preparing for stuff and projects and stuff. And I have the wonderful flexibility because of my job and the career and the way that I've set things up that I'm financially sovereign, so that I don't have to worry about making sure that we can pay our bills when I need to take an afternoon off to work on something to prepare for the baby. I'm able to do that, and that's what I'm talking about. I totally agree with that. That is wonderful to hear. All right, let's go ahead and jump on over to the CoinMarketCap. Somebody said Grant Cardone went nuts. Yeah, I haven't followed Grant Cardone in like 4 years because Anyway, I don't want to talk poorly about the guy, but there are a few things that he kind of espoused that I wasn't in total agreement with. But that was one thing that I thought was very good. Was, hey, don't go waste all your money on a fancy car. All right, Bitcoin is trading at $26,987. It is down 2.67% over the last 24 hours, down 3.52%. Over the last 7 days, it is up 61.96% over the last 90 days and up 61.99% over the year to date. Keep in mind, those two numbers are going to look almost identical here for the next week because 90 days ago was the beginning of the year, which is where year to date is measured from. So those two are virtually going to be identical for pretty much every single chart for a while, unless there was a giant move right around the beginning of the year like there was on XRP. All right. Tether and USD coin are still stable. Of course, that's a good thing. BNB is down 5% today, up 27.5% over the last 90 days, up 27.2% year to date. XRP up 3.66% over the last 24 hours. But other than XRP and a little bit on Cardano, everything is down in the top 10. Binance USD is up slightly, but it's just trading sideways. But an interesting thing here is Solana lost so much valuation over the last 7 days that it actually dropped back out of the top 10, and now it's having to wait on Binance USD to continue its slow death into nothingness for it to actually be able to reclaim its top 10 position because Binance USD has, of course, lost more market capitalization as it is no longer being printed by Paxos for the sake of keeping stability. Whenever money goes out of Binance USD, it is out of Binance USD for good now. Today's show is not sponsored by Vitamin Water, but the Vitamin Water is definitely helping me out here to to have a little bit of energy for the stream. Polkadot sitting at $6, down 1.74% over the last 24 hours. Litecoin down 6.77%. Litecoin, if you guys don't know, was my first ever purchase of cryptocurrency. I bought a quarter of a Litecoin at $41.02 on, I don't remember the date, but I want to say it was August the 5th, something like that, of 2017. We're talking almost 6 years ago now. I bought my first cryptocurrency. It was Litecoin. Litecoin is only double where it was back then right now. I bought it at $41.02. It's only at $86.82. So that just kind of goes to show you I'm not the biggest fan of Litecoin. Whereas Bitcoin was trading at $2,700 when I got into cryptocurrency, and Litecoin was trading at $41.02. Litecoin has doubled, and Bitcoin has appreciated by an order of magnitude to where it is right now. I think Litecoin is actually a pretty good example of what happens when you have a lot of hype drive a market, and then that hype is not able to be sustained. You've seen a couple of giant rallies here on Litecoin during the bull markets, but they didn't actually... The Litecoin continues to fall down here to this $40 range, which is exactly where it was when I first got into it. It had this big rally because of Coinbase listing it back in, I think, April of 2017 it was. And from there, I caught it on the way up, and it did go to $400 or $300. But I also remember people buying it here at like $200, and they're like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. And they lost all of it because they weren't following the fundamentals. Litecoin, my friends, as much as I love it and has a soft spot in my heart, it does not have a strong enough use case to combat Bitcoin because it is just so similar. It's not going to beat Bitcoin in the currency wars. It's just not going to. All right, let's go ahead and look at the chart here. As you guys know, Bitcoin has undergone a massive rally over the last several weeks here. Bitcoin has rallied all the way from $19,500 back here on the 12th of March, gone through a huge rally and rallied 46% in 13 days, up $9,000. The wonderful thing about Bitcoin is that many people are really starting to realize, wait a minute, Bitcoin's here for real. Bitcoin's not going to disappear. Now, there's all kinds of different predictions. Maybe in 10 years it's trading at $50,000. Maybe in 10 years it's trading at $1 million. Maybe price predictions are right. Maybe price predictions are wrong. Whatever the case may be, Bitcoin has been, and will continue to be a store of value that people purchase for the sake of it having a limited supply and for the sake of Bitcoin being a hedge against traditional currency markets. People are scared of the dollar's inflation. People are scared of the currencies in Argentina, in Nigeria, in Zimbabwe, in China for that matter, in Russia. They're scared of these currencies going under devaluation. So when they see devaluation going on their currencies, then naturally they're going to turn to something that cannot be devalued. Bitcoin is a good example. Now, Bitcoin is very, very volatile insofar as Bitcoin moves quite a lot with the whim of the trader, but Bitcoin also has a fundamental intrinsic value proposition that gives it a lot of value to anyone who is tired of a government inflating their currency into oblivion. When you look at the history of Bitcoin, it has always outpaced inflation if you give it a 5-year period. It has always moved up if you give it a 5-year period. Bitcoin has always been a limited supply cryptocurrency that allows for people to store digital wealth into the future without having to worry about inflation. Now, they may have to worry about the rising tides and the sinking tides of public opinion, but they don't have to worry about the inflation, and they can believe that if there's enough people that are interested in Bitcoin for the sake of combating inflation, that Bitcoin will retain enough value that Bitcoin in the long run will beat their currencies that they are otherwise saving their money in and getting 2% a year in some kind of savings bank. And many people are also seeing some of the dangers of having your money in banks right now as well. Of course, the FDIC is going to step in on the Silicon Valley Bank situation, but I was just reading an article this morning where some of the employees of Silicon Valley Bank were being paid up to 50% of their salary in stocks for Silicon Valley Bank, which obviously are not worth a whole lot right now. So people are having somewhat shaken confidence in the banking system, and so therefore they're looking for other things, and Bitcoin fills that niche. All right, so Bitcoin has been trading up here above $26,686 for the last 2 weeks. We broke up above this level here around 400 hours in the morning, 17th of March. That was 11 days ago this year. In doing so, we entered a trading range between 26,686, which is constituted by these local lows that you can see set right here, and also somewhat set right here. 26,686 is a major level that you should be looking at right now if you are trying to understand the current situation in Bitcoin, should we say. Now, the resistance up here is 28,545. 28,545 is the level of resistance that basically denotes the end of the transitionary zone that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. Bitcoin would need to get above that level for it to be able to go into a major uptrend. Whether it can do that or not is a gigantic question mark right now. It's not something that I'm putting a lot of stock in. Now, one of the things to pay attention to here is on the 30-minute chart and also on the hourly chart it'll show up. There is a falling trading channel right here. That falling trading channel is likely going to result in a drop to the downside probably relatively soon, because this would be a bearish continuation pattern. And that bearish continuation pattern would likely lead Bitcoin to the downside. Now, if you want to learn more about bearish continuation patterns, then make sure to go ahead and join the club. Which club? Club Defi. Scroll down here on bitcoinacademy.teachable.com to Principles of Technical Analysis, and you will see that we have a ton of videos over here teaching you everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can get started learning and trading and profiting in these markets. One of the things that we talk about in this academy is continuation. The idea of continuation is actually talked about very early on here in Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, because you have to understand what it means for a technical indicator to indicate that you're going to have a continuation in the same direction. And that's what we're witnessing right now. We're witnessing this sort of continuation pattern that is indicating that we're going to continue to the downside. So again, if you're not already in Principles of Technical Analysis, you should definitely sign up. You can find the link down below and join the tons of other people that are going through Principles of Technical Analysis with you and learning technical analysis so that they can get ready for the bull market. All right, moving on. There's a few things I want to bring to your attention, and that first would be the prediction that I made yesterday. Now, this is a little bit of a messy looking prediction, I will give it to you. But essentially what this mess of lines right here is showing you is that, especially if we bring up Lux Algo here on the 4-hourly chart, this mess of lines, excuse me, I'm sorry, I think I meant to say on the daily chart. This mess of lines here on the daily chart represents what we're likely going to see happening with the reversal zones and what we're likely going to see happen with the EQ cloud. Bitcoin right now is going through a major correction, and many analysts are predicting that we're going to have a drop down to $25,236. And the major reason for that is because Bitcoin has lost its upwards momentum. If you look at this market on the 4-hourly chart, you can see whatever bullish momentum we had has now started to dissipate. We are setting lower highs, significantly lower highs. We're setting equivalent lows, which means that we are in effectively a giant descending triangle pattern. That doesn't give us a lot of hope for bullish pressure. That, in fact, gives us much more reason to believe that we're going to see a drop to the downside. From there, we would likely see Bitcoin falling out of its level of support at 26,686, dropping down to 25,236. And then that drop would likely end up leading Bitcoin through the rest of this CPI cycle, right up until Wednesday, the 12th of April, 2023, when we see the CPI data come out. And that's something I want to talk about. Let's go to bls.gov/CPI. If you go to bls.gov/CPI, you're going to find this web page, and this is going to show you that CPI over the last 12 months is coming in at 6%. That is likely not going to continue moving to the downside the way that we would like. We're likely going to see that market is going to, we're likely going to see that stop before it gets down below 4.5%, because if you go to the United States CPI, Consumer Price Index, you can see that we are actually marching higher at a pretty aggressive rate. The inflation has not really gotten under control. We've just had some of the inflation roll off, and we also have all of this inflation right here. I predict within the next 12 months, you're going to see inflation back over 7% if the market does not correct itself and if the market does not find a good way to adjust to the war in Ukraine and to the fertilizer shortages that we have around the world right now, and to the complexities of having to rebuild entire supply chains the world over. You're likely going to see a pretty large drop on you're probably going to see a pretty large increase on CPI and a pretty large drop in the value of the dollar as a result of the increase in the cost of living as a result of everything that you buy to live being far more expensive. So what do I mean by the CPI cycles? Well, this is, as I said, something I'm probably going to end up making a video on, but effectively, what you see is that whenever you have CPI data coming in, you normally see that there is a rally. Then you normally see a plateau here somewhere in the middle, depending on how large the CPI data was, and then you see a correction moving into the next CPI. If you remove these CPI rallies, then there's actually a pretty big problem that Bitcoin is facing. You remove these rallies and you only have the corrections, and the market is actually dropping from $17,000 down to like $15,000. If we did not see CPI dropping right now and people buying as a result of the bullishness that they are experiencing and the FOMO that they're experiencing because of that CPI drop, then we would probably see Bitcoin at $17,000 or $20,000. CPI dropping is the big thing that's driving the Bitcoin market right now, and that leaves us with a giant question mark in the future. What happens if CPI is no longer dropping? Does Bitcoin actually have what it takes to rally up to $30,000 and beyond on its own? Maybe, maybe not. I think it's all going to hinge on this Wednesday, April the 12th, CPI data release, and we're going to see how far CPI has dropped, because right now, Bitcoin is mostly only rallying as a result of CPI data coming in. So, where does that leave Bitcoin? Well, as we saw in February, that is probably going to leave Bitcoin with quite a lot of sideways action here in the middle of the CPI cycle. And then towards the end of this CPI cycle, we're going to have the correction, and that correction will probably bring us down to $25,236. So, that's something we've spoke on. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. And it makes sense too, because if you look at the daily chart, we are actually about to see a MACD cross bearish. You can see right here, I told you guys this last Friday, that if you extrapolate the histogram and where it's going, that unless Bitcoin rallies up above 28,545, then you're almost certainly going to see a bearish cross on the histogram here. And you're very likely to see a major drop on the MACD and a cross bearish. That bearish cross typically comes in during the CPI cycle about halfway through. You can see the first CPI cycle. We saw that happen. Same thing with the second one. Now we're seeing a third one. It was pretty much always going to be inevitable. But now that we're seeing that bearish cross come in tomorrow, and now that we've seen RSI drop below the 14 interval moving average on the daily chart, you're almost certainly going to see that market going through a correction as a result of the MACD crossing bearish, and also as a result of the bearish MACD, the bearish engulfing candlestick formation that we see right here. Looking on a different chart, you can see that one thing that could give us some bullishness would be the fact that we do have potentially a hammer formation forming right now. But that all depends on how this candlestick closes. This candlestick has been open for 14 hours and 25 minutes. I believe it would have been anyway. I think so. Yes, 14 hours and 25 minutes this candlestick has been open, which gives us another 9 hours and 35 minutes before this candlestick closes at 8 p.m. today on the Eastern Seaboard. When it does that, then if the candlestick closes right where it is today, that will be a hammer formation. That'd be great. We'd love to see Bitcoin rally from there, but keep in mind these are two red candlesticks in a row. And if Bitcoin doesn't manage to have some kind of bounce tomorrow to give us a bullish engulfing candlestick formation, then almost certainly we're just going to have a precipitous rally to the downside, a precipitous correction to the downside as a result of that MACD cross coming in bearish. Now, there's also Lux Algo. On the daily chart, Lux Algo is not looking the best right now, and I'll tell you why. We had a strong buy signal come into play back here pretty much the day that the CPI data dropped. Why? Because Bitcoin rallied so much. So we saw Lux Algo come in bullish. It was great. It was wonderful. It was yippee-ki-yay, mamacita. And then we saw this market go all the way up, and we saw the Blue X. The Blue X is a take profit position. Whenever you're in a buy signal with Lux Algo, you see that Blue X come into play, and whenever you see that Blue X, that typically means, hey, it's not a sell signal yet, but it is time to take profit here. Lux Algo gave you a great signal because it gave you the Blue X the exact day that Bitcoin topped out and went as high as it possibly would, up around $28,700. It was actually the day after we hit the local high at 28.8, but we rallied to $100 shy of that, gave you a pretty great signal. And by the way, the day that we hit the top, we also had, just turning off Lux Algo here so you can see it a little bit better, we had a spinning top right here on the 22nd of March. You can see the spinning top right there. 22nd of March, we had that spinning top. At this point, we're coming down and back testing the trend catcher as a level of support. That level of support that we're witnessing right here on the trend catcher sits at $26,481. And when it sits at $26,481, then it is very likely going to end up breaking below $26,481, because oftentimes when the market drops down to touch the trend catcher, as you can see historically here, right here, and also right here, normally the market falls straight through it. It's not normally a level of support that the market ends up holding. If it goes back down to trend catcher, it's normally going to fall through it. So that's where I think Lux Algo would also be giving us an indication that we're going to see a drop. And it's not just on Lux Algo on the daily chart. If you look down on some of the other time frames here, why is that? This is very strange. I'm not exactly sure why TradingView is telling me that I don't have a That's odd. I'm not sure why TradingView is telling me I don't have a premium subscription. I've had a premium subscription with them for 5 years, so I'll have to look into that. Anyway, I guess it's not going to let me use other intervals, so I guess we're going to look at the 4-hourly chart today, and I'll figure that out after the stream. Anyway, if you look at the 4-hourly chart, you can see that there is a strong sell signal that has come into play here at 800 hours yesterday morning. When we saw that come into play, we saw Bitcoin drop all the way down to the bottom of the EQ cloud, and right now on the 4-hourly chart, it's sitting at the bottom of the EQ cloud. On top of that, the EQ cloud is actually converging bearish on itself. We're trading sideways down here. Again, that's a bear flag, and that bear flag gives us a price target pretty close down here to about $25,800. When you see the market dropping down here to the bottom of the EQ cloud, normally you're going to fall through the bottom of the EQ cloud. Oftentimes, you're not going to end up finding a rally after you've dropped down to the bottom of the EQ cloud. You're going to end up falling through the bottom of the EQ cloud. On top of that, EQ cloud looks like it's going to converge bearish at some point in just the next 48 hours on 4-hourly chart, so that's something to keep in mind. On top of that, MACD is remarkably bearish. RSI is remarkably bearish, sitting down here at 41, indicating that the market is undergoing some kind of massive correction right now, and obviously it is. We can see it playing out on our own. Is it going to let me use VRVP? It's not going to let me use VRVP. That's very strange. I'm not sure why. Like, I think TradingView, everything just wants to mess with me today, technically. We were having technical difficulties with the camera. Now we're having technical difficulties with my technical analysis tool. Anyway, I will figure that out after stream. I'm not sure why that would have done that. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and read chat, and I'm going to open the floor to talk about some altcoins. We're probably going to keep within the top 15, but if you guys are interested in me looking at some altcoins, make sure to go ahead and give me some to look at in chat. Let's go ahead and read chat here for just a second, though. All right. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's read some chat. Oh, yes. Called anyone making under $400,000 a loser. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. That was pretty sad. That was sad to hear. Let's see. Grant Cardone, never heard of her. Man, there's a lot of hate in chat right now on a few different projects and a few different people. The wonderful thing about Bitcoin is a wonderful thing. Sounds a little tautological. All right, Colin McDonald said, picked up more ADA this morning in the UK. Good to see it. All right, let us see here. Let's read some more chat. All righty. Hang on. My YouTube is messing with me. There we go. Good afternoon, Jebb. Do you think this is the last crazy cycle for crypto, meaning like in the 2029 cycle won't be able to make so many 20x, 30x, or 100x? Thanks. Yes, I think that those days are probably coming to an end. I think you're going to see a much more stable growth curve on a lot of the more mature cryptocurrencies. So when you're talking about something like Ethereum, when you're talking about something like Bitcoin, I think you've seen most of the parabolic 500% rallies that you're ever going to see. I think you're going to see more because I think Bitcoin will rally up to well over $100,000. But I think it is going to have a small... You see that happening on the chart. I'll show you. Let's just go here and look at the BLX Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin chart on the weekly chart. If you look at this chart, you will notice that our first technical bull market rallied Bitcoin, say it with me now, 60,000% from $2 to $1,200. The next rally rallied us 10,000%. The next rally rallied us 2,000%. You can see each bull market is decreasing the size of its rally by half an order of magnitude, by 5x. We saw 60,000%, 50 to 60,000% get cut by 4/5, by 80%, down to 10,000%. Then we saw a bull market that got cut down 80% again to 2,000%. If we were to see that get cut in half again, by 80% again, we wouldn't actually even see a bull market. We would see a bull market up to roughly straight back to all-time high, around $75,000. I think you'll end up seeing more than that, because if not, then Bitcoin isn't really going to go into a giant bull market. You see what I mean? I think you are going to see a 500, 600% rally on Bitcoin just because of the depths of the bear market. I think you're going to see more than Bitcoin just recovering all-time highs and then flatlining up there. But that is a possible outcome as well. I think what you're going to see happen is that Bitcoin's going to rally up to all-time high and then a little bit beyond. I could see Bitcoin going to $140,000 in this market, and then dropping to maybe like 50 or 60, and then rallying up to $250,000 by the end of the decade, or 300, 400,000 by the end of the decade. The end of the decade is approaching a lot faster than people think it is. I mean, we're already almost in 2024. So we'll see what happens. We're already a third of the way through the decade, and Bitcoin's trading at 27,000. I think $1 million by the end of the decade at this point is starting to feel a little bit ambitious. But I could definitely see Bitcoin trading between $100,000 and $400,000 by the end of the decade, and maybe $1 million moving on into the 2030s. It is going to take time for this market to mature, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a very good thing. We want Bitcoin to be around the block for a while. It's very hard to say that Bitcoin is just a giant Ponzi scheme and it's just a giant scam when it's been around at this point for nearly 15 years, right? So that brings a certain level of credibility. Think about it like this. Whenever you see somebody who has a company, they've got a roofing company or a watch repair company, or they've got a window cleaning company or a car company, whatever, then they say, since 1903, that gives credibility. Like, okay, you may not have ever used us, but somebody has been using us for 120 years. We know what we're doing. That's essentially what Bitcoin is going through right now. It is growing up, it is getting older, and is getting wiser, and it's getting more mature, and people are starting to take it more seriously because it's been around for a while, right? And especially, I think after it breaks this new all-time high above $70,000, I think that's where Bitcoin is really going to be solidified as a real asset class, where people are not just going to say, at least it's going to be a lot less common. People are not just going to say, oh, this is just a fad, this is going to die out. People are going to say, last bull market and the bull market before that, it felt like a fad, but now it's gone and hit a new all-time high for a fifth time in history. Now, I'm not just talking about all the all-time highs of running up to that level. I'm talking about this was the first all-time high, second, third, fourth, and then breaking above 70,000 will give us a fifth major all-time high in the history of the market. People are going to say, okay, wait a minute, it's managing to do pretty well despite there being a recession, managing to do pretty well despite there being they're being very, how should you say, hawkish monetary policy is doing very well, despite the fact that interest rates are very high and money is very hard to come by, and it's very difficult to grow a tech sector because the tech sector itself is struggling right now. Bitcoin, even just breaking all-time high in this environment that we're going to be in over the next 2 years, I think gives a lot of credibility to it. So is this the last quote-unquote crazy cycle to come? Probably in a lot of ways it is, but I still think you're going to be able to find 20, 30, and 100Xs. I just don't want to build your hopes on making money off of 20, 30, and 100Xs. That's why I want to build something based off of financial sovereignty, because you might be able to find a 20, 30, or 100X over the next 5 to 10 years, but eventually that's going to die out, and you're going to have to be looking for penny stocks, essentially penny cryptocurrencies, to do the same thing. That'd be my take on that. By the way, welcome everybody to the stream who is new here. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. If you would do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 250 likes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And also make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be updated every single time a new video goes live. And hit that post notification bell and turn on all notifications so you'll be updated every time the stream goes live and every time we upload a new video. We upload about 2 videos a week. We upload a video on Saturday and Sunday. And then we stream 5 days a week here. So we have content coming out 7 days a week here on the Crypto Jebb channel, and we would love to see you tune in for it, because I hope I'm bringing you guys some value. All right, we just got a super chat from XFedman. XFedman, there you go. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. XFedman donated $10 and said, "Hi Jebb, love the show. $200,000 invested in crypto. How much percentage in Bitcoin would you recommend? Want to get most bang for my buck with altcoins as well." All right. I normally recommend people have 50% of their portfolio in Bitcoin and crypto. I do want to preface, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and I am not a professional money manager for other people. And I don't know your situation, and I also don't know what your philosophy is on investment. What I will say is that Bitcoin is the granddaddy of them all. It is the OG cryptocurrency, and it is also the cryptocurrency that's taken the most seriously by the people that really move markets, that being the institutions and that being the giant corporations around the world. When you're talking to executives of multi-$100 million or billion-dollar companies, they are typically interested in Bitcoin and maybe this little thing that they've heard of called Ethereum, right? You've heard that before, the Ethereum. People want to invest in Ethereum. First of all, People know Bitcoin, they know Ethereum, but don't know how to pronounce its name, and then they don't know anything else. That's kind of the extent of the public relations problem in cryptocurrency. If you're not in crypto, you probably never heard of a Cardano. You probably never heard of a Plagon. Well, I think everybody knows how to pronounce Polygon because everybody hopefully learned that in 5th grade. But what's a Slana? What's a Slana? We've got people that do not understand cryptocurrency in the slightest. And so when they buy into cryptocurrency, they're going to buy into what's popular. And unfortunately, one of the big things that's popular is Dogecoin. What's popular is not always going to be the Cardano. You're going to typically see that thriving among the in crowd, the people in cryptocurrency. But much of the money that drives the market is the out crowd. You're seeing people that are in their 60s that want to make a little bit more money and put 5% of their portfolio on something more aggressive because they've got plenty of money to retire on, but they want to grow it a little bit so they can buy a second condo in Florida. So they end up buying Bitcoin, or they end up buying Ethereum, or they end up buying Cardano, but they typically are relegated to the top 5, if not even just the top 2. That's why I highly recommend having the majority of your portfolio in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think at least 50% of a portfolio should be in Bitcoin and Ethereum, if not having at least 50% of your portfolio in just Bitcoin. And the reason is Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only 2 blue chips in the entire cryptocurrency industry. As much as I love Polygon, as much as I love Cardano, as much as I love Polkadot and a few other big ones, they're not blue chip status yet. Bitcoin and Ethereum are. Typically, if I'm giving somebody a very simple portfolio balance, I say, look, 50% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum, 20% everything else. Kind of like the 50-30-20 rule of personal finance and budgeting. 50% in your needs, 30% in your wants, 20% into savings. 50% into your needs, you need Bitcoin, 30% into your wants, which would be maybe Ethereum, and 20% into your speculation. So, the other thing to keep in mind there, X-Fed man, is that when you're investing in smaller cap altcoins, they have higher risk, but they also have higher reward. So it's very possible to put only 20% of your portfolio into altcoins, but if one of the 3 altcoins you buy in has an explosive rally and rallies 400%, it may actually end up making as much money as Bitcoin, which you put 10 times more of your money into Bitcoin, because it rallied so much farther. You don't actually need to put a lot of money in an altcoin that you expect to go through an explosive rally because it's going to rally farther. So you're going to have much, much more profit. And then by the end, when you're trying to sell everything, it will actually make up a larger portion of your portfolio just because it outpaced the rally, the growth of Bitcoin. But I want you guys to remember something. Bitcoin rallied 50% in a 12-day period. Bitcoin is over double where it was, not over double, but almost double where it was not long ago at $15,000. It's 80% higher in 3 months. So don't be too shy about putting money into Bitcoin because you're not going to find 80% growth in one asset anywhere else that quickly, especially that you can predict with technical analysis. That's why I love technical analysis so much. Go make 80% on 100 grand. You just made $80,000 in 3 months. That's a pretty good return. So I would recommend putting at least 30 or 40% into Bitcoin, then quite a bit into Ethereum as well, because like I said, those are really the only 2 blue chips in the entire industry yet. One day that will change probably, but they're pretty much the only 2 blue chips in the entire industry. And from there, I wouldn't recommend putting more than 35% into small cap altcoins. And by small cap, I mean anything outside of the top 10. So that's a little bit vague, but the reason that it has to be is because it comes down to your trading and your investment philosophy. I always encourage people, only invest in what you know, because if you buy Bitcoin, you are a fractional owner of the Bitcoin network. It's almost like buying Apple stock. If you buy Apple stock, you're a fractional owner of this company. You're a fractional owner of the company, which means since you have ownership in the company, maybe you don't have to know as much as, Tim Cook knows about Apple, but you ought to know quite a lot about Apple. If you are an investor in Apple. If you're an investor in Bitcoin, you need to be very well versed in it. If you're an investor in Ethereum, you need to be very well versed in it. If you're an investor in Cardano, you need to be very well versed in it. Why? Because you want to understand your investment. Because if you are not educated in your investment and you're not educated in how to make the investment, then you're going to make a bad investment. And you might make an investment in a good project, but you're not going to do it potentially at the right timing. You're going to end up making some kind of mistake with the timing, with how long you hold it, with maybe you buy it at the top. Regardless, you need to be very informed on it. So I don't encourage people to go and buy 100 altcoins. If you're going to buy an altcoin, pick 3 to 5 in the top 11 to 100. Pick 3 to 5 that you're really going to follow. Maybe you want to follow Gala. Maybe you want to follow Avalanche. Maybe you want to follow, Crow. Maybe you want to follow crypto.com. Whatever it is. Una said Leo, Filecoin, Aptos, Kronos, whatever it is. Don't try and pick a ton of coins. I would highly recommend you be very conservative with how many coins you pick. Pick your eggs very, very well and then hold on to them tight. Don't just pick a bunch of eggs because then you're going to end up having a lot of money get wasted. All right. Let's go ahead and read some chat. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. Dogecoin could change the crypto market with Elon and getting new investors in with something other than Bitcoin. Dogecoin does have its place in the ecosystem. It definitely does have a place in the ecosystem. Its place kind of stands as the class clown. It gets a lot of attention, but it's not necessarily the spitting image of technological innovation, maybe you should say. That being said, it does have a role to play in getting money into the space. The problem is a lot of people buy into Dogecoin, and 1% of them make life-changing wealth, and 99% of them lose all of their money. And those people get burned, and they never return to cryptocurrency. So that's not a good thing. It's great to get people into crypto, but you want to get people into crypto for the right reasons in the right way so that they are able to build financial sovereignty in this space and not just take out a second mortgage on their house, put all the money into Dogecoin, and then go bankrupt. That doesn't do anybody any favors. It doesn't do the individual any favors, and it certainly doesn't do the industry any favors that now just has one more hater. Colin McDonald said, gaming looking ready to pop IMO. Yes, indeed, it does. I think you're right. I think gaming in cryptocurrency is going to do very, very, very well. Ada gives Jebb heartburn. Yeah, it's funny. During office hours last night, I talked about Cardano. Here, I'll give you a little bit of my spiel. Mario De Leon will tell you about this because we talked about it last night on office hours. But the tricky thing with Cardano is that Cardano is at a point in time right now where, in my opinion, I do think that it is a superior technology to Ethereum in a lot of ways. The issue with Cardano is that Cardano does not necessarily have sufficient technological innovation and sufficient reason for the different NFT platforms and the different decentralized application protocols and DEXs to move from Ethereum to Cardano. The hard thing that Cardano is going to have to face this year is that Cardano is going to have such great technology that it attracts new projects and maybe even can attract old projects built on Ethereum to migrate to Cardano fully, or at least deploy on Cardano also. The hard thing is that with any new technological innovation, you have to develop the technology, but you also have to develop the technology with two things. Number one, you have to develop the technology with an understanding of the zeitgeist, the current landscape of the market, of the environment that we exist in. So we exist in a market right now where there is quite a lot of financial fiscal conservative policy going on in people's investment. People are tending to invest in what is proven. Ethereum is proven to be able to run decentralized applications, at least in some capacity. Cardano does not have the massive TVL that Ethereum has had and still does have. So there is much more of a fiscal conservative nature of, we're not going to build new projects right now. And if we do, we're going to build it on what's trusted. When we move into a bull market and that changes, people start thinking, oh, wait a minute, innovation, time to deploy money here, time to deploy money there, time to go ahead and invest in this small cap altcoin, time to go ahead and build out a new project, time to deploy capital in something that's risky but high return. And that's where people will end up deploying a lot of money on Cardano. I think Cardano will have a fantastic bull market. I think it'll be back above $1 very quickly if Bitcoin rallies up to $30 or $40 or $50,000. But the other component is not just the ecosystem. The other component is the cost of switching. So I gave an example last night. And again, this is kind of a talk I gave during office hours last night. So if you're not in office hours, you can get access to office hours by joining Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. Mario was there. He'll remember this. So I gave an example last night of the automobile. The first commercially available and affordable automobile came out in 1894 from the Benz Corporation. So you may have heard of Benz before because they ended up going through a merger with Mercedes, and that's where Mercedes-Benz comes from. But they released a vehicle, had 3 wheels, and it had the giant spoked wheels, and it traveled about 5-10 miles an hour, and it was, I believe it was electric, and they released it in 1894. However, the environment was not in the right position. People were not ready to spend money on a new fancy horseless carriage. They didn't have the reason to. They didn't necessarily need to travel that far. They were able to travel on foot. Horses were sometimes cheaper. Then you fast forward another 14 years to 1908, and the Ford Model T comes out, and this is a vehicle that's much larger, can carry more, it can go faster, it uses it fits into the environment much better. It was sold to people in cities that were trying to get across town to go and work at a factory job. They couldn't walk there because it was too far away. It opened the horizons for people to be able to get a job that was further from their home, and it also meant that they didn't have to worry about dealing with a horse, which is a live animal. So whole living being that you have to take care of. So the environment had changed in those 14 years, and also the technological innovation had gotten to such a point where there was such an advantage to a Ford Model T that it made sense to switch away from your horse and, have horse for dinner, and then now you have a car, right? So there was such an advantage that people would switch. But two things had to be in place for the automobile to really take off. One, the environment had to be there. People had to need an automobile. And two, there had to be such a gigantic reason to switch to the new technology that was absolutely superior, that people would go about doing it, that people would do it because they had a good reason to. And the good reason was the Ford Model T was very cheap. It was very inexpensive. Anybody could afford one, more or less. It was necessary because people wanted to be able to travel far away to get to their job. And it was available en masse. There was not that many of the Benz, I forget what they're called, but the Benz vehicles produced in 1894. All of those factors had to come into play for the automobile to take over horse-drawn carriages and horses, right? Same thing with plenty of other technologies. Smartphones, the internet, aviation, all of these things. I don't have time to go into as much detail as I did on office hours last night. That's why you should get office hours, so you can learn about this stuff. But Cardano's in a very similar situation. For Cardano to thrive, Cardano is going to need to, one, have an environment where people are more willing to invest in newer, shinier technology that does do its job better than Ethereum, but they need to be in a position to say, wow, yeah, this is people need to have this feeling of, I want to invest in innovation. That's not really a sentiment that's been in crypto over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years, over the last year or so. And also, there has to be sufficient technological innovation that there is sufficient reason to go through the retooling process of switching to a new technology. That is something that you either need an entrepreneur to come in that makes a giant change. A good example would be Tesla and their mega forges. I forget what they're called, but they have these giant machines that stamp the auto body of a Tesla in one go, like the whole thing. They're mega something. That was a gigantic expense, and it was a huge step in innovation. So you had to have an entrepreneur or an entrepreneurial company come in and make that change. Now other car manufacturers are trying to go in the same direction. Instead of riveting and bolting and welding together 50 different parts of a car, they want to just stamp the whole auto body out of one giant piece of metal, so that they can save money. And so the car is more simple and there's more efficiency. But it took somebody it took somebody in a company with an innovative mindset to come in and make that change. Similarly, we're going to have to find investors that have an innovative mindset that are going to want to come and invest in Cardano. So Cardano is going to struggle with the environment is not right now. People are not interested in building new decentralized applications in the first place, but they're also not interested in switching their decentralized application infrastructure away from Ethereum to Cardano just yet. And then also there's got to be sufficient technological reason for the NFT developers and the DApp developers and the DEX developers and the online marketplace developers and the gaming developers and all the developers to develop on Cardano instead of Ethereum. I think that will happen. And Cardano, luckily, is moving in the right direction. They are trying to hammer down on building the best technology that they possibly can, with solid philosophies around things like governance, around things like decentralization, and inclusive accountability. That's the big three trinity that Charles Hoskinson has spoken about at length, and he's even spoken about on this channel. For Cardano to do that, it's going to need to continue grinding away at great technology and then wait for the environment. Because that's how every technology has ever come to thrive. You grind away at building great technology, and either the environment is right when the technological breakthrough took place, think the Edison light bulb, or you have to develop the technology and then you have to wait 20 years, 5 years, 10 years, or a year, 12 months, whatever it is, for the environment to want the technology. We've got flying cars. We've got jetpacks. Why doesn't everybody own one? Because the environment doesn't necessitate them. The technological innovation is there. You can go buy a jetpack, a very capable one. You don't need a pilot's license. You can go buy a flying car. They're very, very accessible. They're not exactly the most affordable, but they are very accessible, and you can get one. Some of them you can get without a pilot's license, but the environment isn't there. Who needs a flying car? Who needs a jetpack? People want those things, but who needs them? That's what needs to happen with Cardano. Is people are going to need the technological innovation that it has, and I think that will come. But the retooling cost is something that Cardano is going to have to face and is going to have to really come to terms with. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. By the way, Colin McDonald, you may notice that your name is now blue. That means you were a moderator. So that means that you can put people in timeout if they're not acting right. So thank you for tuning in every day, Colin. I actually accidentally set you to a moderator earlier because I was trying to get out of something. But I was like, you know what? Colin's here every day. I'll let him stay a moderator. So I didn't actually mean to set you as a moderator. Not that I have anything against you. But like, you know what? Just so everybody knows I'm not picking favorites. Like, you know what? We'll just go ahead and let you have it. If you don't want it, I can take it off. But there you go. Before cars, they said we do not need cars. We need faster horses. Did they say that? I suppose they said that. I don't know. I wasn't. I was just a wee little lad in those days. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that old. Let's see. Queen said, my back's up against the wall and I've chosen to opt out of the banking system. I will become my own central bank. Okay. Horse for dinner equals Taco Bell. Oh my goodness, guys. That's terrible. Oh my gosh. All right. ADA will go to at least $5 to $7. Interesting price prediction. That would put it at what, like a quarter to a $500 billion in market capitalization? I think it can do that. I think that would be very, very, very large. So each dollar on Cardano is roughly $36 billion in market capitalization, roughly $33 billion. So $6 would be roughly $200 billion in market cap. I could see it. I mean, Ethereum right now at these low levels compared to its all-time high is at $200 billion. I think that is doable. I think that's possible. It's going to take a lot of development on the Cardano blockchain, though. And I think that will happen, especially if you start to see major industry-shifting technologies like a new medical record system being built on a blockchain, especially if that was built on Cardano. That's where you start seeing a lot of growth. You've got to have cryptocurrency move into existing industry and revolutionize it so that it becomes an integral to the operation of that industry. That's what internet did. Internet went in and it changed every single industry. If cryptocurrency can go in and change every single industry, not just finance, but it can go in and change the medical record systems. It can go in and change government record systems. It can go in and change the legal processes of our nation, of our land. If it can go in and change the way that titling is done and the way that home ownership deeds are done, if it can go in and it can affect those things, then that's where it will succeed. If it can't do that, then it's going to have a harder time. It's going to have to be adopted as a technology that is it's going to have to be developed as a technology that has a real use and that people are going to actually use. John Connor asked, John Connor, are you from the future, my friend? Said, would Jebb invest in Doge? Well, John Connor, since you are from the future, I will have to ask you, should I invest in Doge? Is Dogecoin going to go through a massive rally? I don't know. The thing is, I'm not a big fan of Dogecoin. The thing is, I am an opportunist. So here's the deal with Dogecoin. You guys are probably going to think this is pretty funny. I'm not the biggest fan of Dogecoin, but what I will tell you is that I would not be at all surprised if during the next bull market it did this. So I'm actually kind of tempted to put a little bit of money into Dogecoin just because it is so low, and there is a very high chance that it will go through a big rally during the next bull market as a result of what you guys have talked about with Elon Musk liking Dogecoin and it still being a meme, and somehow it's still in the top 10. It's still sitting at number 8 during the bear market. I would not be at all surprised to see one of these just, boom, giant rallies in the bull market next time. So that is tempting. I might put a little bit of money in Dogecoin, actually. Probably not much. I'm talking like 1% of portfolio. But I'm not actually against it. I just want you guys to be very careful because there's some people that put all of their money in it. John Connor wasn't from the future. The Terminator was. Had to ruin my joke. Had to ruin my joke, didn't you, Enric Suave? Zach Redden said, hashtag Jebb for Doge. No, not for Doge. But as far as opportunity is concerned, I think it could end up doing well. Forget Doge, buy baby Doge. Why? Cheaper. Well, good reason to buy Doge is because if you're going to buy one of the one of the meme coins is because Dogecoin is the one with all the attention on it. Let's see. Ex-Fed Man said, appreciate your help today. Absolutely, my friend. Somebody said they were in timeout earlier. Faster horses taste better. I've never eaten a horse, so I don't know. What's the age demographic for your viewers? Most of you guys, over 50% of you guys are between 34, 35, and 54. So we've got quite a lot of millennials and Gen Xers that watch the stream. Shannon Sharp in chat said, hello, folks. Good to see you, Shannon Sharp. Forex Robot said, I was shocked when I saw your comment. Which comment? Well, I have very short-term memory when it comes to who said what. Gosh, what did you say? I don't know what you said. Oh, man. Okay. Model T is any color you want as long as you choose black. Yep, there you go. Exactly. So when we reach $25,000, we buy. We're going to have to start doing some analysis over the next couple of weeks on what the CPI data report is going to be like. The hard thing is that there is a large likelihood that the CPI data report could only be like 0.1% to the downside or something. And if that's the case, that's going to end up being trouble. So I wouldn't exactly, we'll have to wait to see on that. But I do think that it's going to be a better buy than it is now. Grand Roofing said, still here working on gathering tax documents and hanging with the little one. Yep, that's what I was doing yesterday. Getting some tax documents together. No respectable industry will use Cardano or ETH when there is an owner and foundation who controls that coin. SpongeBob SquarePants, I would encourage you to look into who runs the internet, because there are about a half a dozen people with basically keys to the internet that can shut down everything. And as far as that's concerned, you do realize that the military uses Microsoft, right? The military uses Microsoft Office. Or actually, I think it might be Gmail. But anyway, the United States of America's military uses, I forget which one, I'm pretty sure it's the Microsoft Office suite, one of their products that are owned by one person. As far as respectable industry is concerned, that's one of the more self-respecting industries out there is the military, because they want to make sure that they have everything set up the way that that it should be. And they use that, even though there's an owner and foundation that controls that coin. You build infrastructure and industry on top of other infrastructure and industry. That's typically how that goes. All right, guys, so I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out. I really do appreciate all of you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed today's stream, I want you to do a couple of things. First and foremost, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And do not forget about Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, because over here, you're going to learn everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can get started on your journey of financial sovereignty here in the cryptocurrency space. But as I always say, education is the gate and key to success in the cryptocurrency market. And if you have education and understanding of the cryptocurrency market, then you will succeed if you give it enough time and patience and hard work and diligence. But if you don't understand the cryptocurrency market, that's where you're really going to struggle. If you don't understand technical analysis, that's where you're really going to struggle with trading and investing. So I'd highly encourage you guys to check out Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. You can find it with the link in the description box down below. All right, let's go ahead and see if there's anything in chat that I want to mention. Let's see. Imad Saad said, good morning, God is good. Amen. He absolutely is. Praise God. We love our Lord Jesus Christ here in this stream. All right, guys, like I said, I am going to have to wrap it out. But before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling.